session, so you might see that now. We're going to record this. We'll post it up to the website. And then to start with, I'm also going to mute everyone so that we don't have any feedback issues. So again, thank you for joining us. Just want to run through some things. I do have my screen that is shared on here as well. So if you are logged in, maybe via your phone, or if you called, there will be some things that I'll try to paint you a picture on. Otherwise, for those that are able, you can see my screen or my ugly mug, or a combination of both. Like I said, we'll record this. We'll post it up on the member side of the website to be able to run through as we go through this. So just wanted to get kind of a quick call together to give maybe some tips and tricks within the reservation system. This will all be pool reservations. As you have any particular questions, please put them into the chat box. There is a chat feature, or either shoot myself an email, Amber an email, or Sarah as well. Sarah's also monitoring the phones for any calls that we get. So if you don't have something answered, feel free to give us a call even after this call as well. I'm happy to help individually, but we have had a lot of the same questions, so I thought being able to jump on this call would be a good start. So want to start off by saying within the reservation system, it does have glitches to it. It was a complete rebuild out of a tennis court system for our software provider, and built to the specifications that we were trying to meet here at Field Club. So I know people have said, hey, there are times where I'll jump into a certain day and it's not available. I'll go to a different day and come back and it'll be available. That is a glitch in the system that they're actively working through. But we also felt important that we wanted to give people at least a couple days to be able to work through their schedules and understand it. So we launched it, but it will continually get better as we move forward. So please have some patience with us as we go through this process. But I'm just going to give a quick overview, and then we'll get into some questions that we're getting quite a bit as we work through here. So 7 to 9 a.m. Every morning we have lap swim. Those are first come, first serve spots. There are up to 6 of those available because we have 6 lanes. Next week we do have quite a few more lap swimmers. You are welcome to come up if we do have space. However, the preference will be given to those who do make reservations. So we have informed a lot of our morning lap swimmers to make reservations if they can. That way we can guarantee them a spot as they come through. The 8 o'clock hour is very popular. So if you can come either earlier or a little bit later, that would be great. We do have a senior swim hour from 9 to 10. Hasn't been a huge hit yet. We will continue to monitor that and see whether or not maybe we need to extend lap swim or look at something different there. But it is eligible for those who are 55 and older. So within our system, we have most everyone's ages. There's certain people we don't have ages. So if you are 55 and over and should be in that category, please let us know. Otherwise, 2 different groups. So I'm going to get right into a lot of the common questions. We initially expected that we were going to have gathering restrictions be raised up in small increments. What ended up happening was we went to the 25% of capacity, which is a lot higher number because our pool deck is so big. And so instead of breaking the membership into 4 groups, we ended up breaking the membership into 2 groups and then allocating multiple different options. We expect the 4 to 7, and this has proven true so far, the 4 to 7 to be the most popular and the 1 to 4 to also be very popular. So instead of breaking those or putting them together, what we decided to do is give kind of a less popular option and a popular option of what we expected. So we paired the 10 to 1 and the 4 to 7 together, and then the 1 to 4 and the 7 to 10 later that night. Those groups will rotate times every week. So it's Monday through Sunday, and then starting next week, so for next week, Group 1 has the 10 o'clock and the 4 o'clock options. Group 2 has the 1 o'clock and the 7. The following week, starting June 8th, and that'll run through the 14th, Sunday the 14th, they will flip-flop. then we'll go back. We expect this to run through the month of June until we get into July, which I would expect there to be some new directives at that point. But this is our system, at least as we run through here in June. Those groups will rotate. I can't express that often enough. So as we move forward, we will continue to kind of revise the system as needed. But for those that have jumped on, I want to start off by apologizing, but also informing the system does have glitches. There are times where you'll go in to look at a certain date and it doesn't populate your times, and then it comes back and it does populate times. For what we've seen and what we've heard, the glitches, what our software provider is saying is that the glitches specifically on mobile, it hits you to the loading screen, and depending on how many people are active in the system, it could put you on that loading screen for quite a bit of time. So the website, I know, even if what we've heard is even on mobile, if you go to a browser instead of trying to use the app, I don't want to discourage you from using the app, but if you use a browser, that's kind of a tip and trick. The browsers actually work a little bit better. The system can load a little bit more and a little bit quicker going that route. So we did run our first lottery this morning. So everybody is making lottery requests. I get that question a lot as well. So when you go in, the system opens 7 days out at 7 a.m. So this morning we opened up next Saturday. The system automatically opens it up at 7 a.m. for the following Saturday. There is no benefit to being first to put your request in. Zero benefit. The system will weight it. I'm going to show kind of the way the lottery works here in a second, just so everybody can see it. Again, this will be recorded and put on the website. But the way that the system works, it doesn't matter if you're first in or last in. It's a random weighting system for the lottery. The lottery requests close at 7 a.m. 2 days before. So, for example, this morning at 7 a.m., we close the lottery for Monday, and then we'll run the lottery between 7 and 8 a.m. You'll get either a confirmation that more or less updates your booking that says, hey, your status has moved to booked. Or the reverse, if you are one of those that get declined, you will get an email that says you've been declined, there may be open spots, check now. So if you have been declined, the theory is you're one of the first ones to know that the system is now open. So to give a good example, on Monday, we ended up having one time slot that was over capacity. It was the 1 o'clock, and we had 179 requests for 175 spots. So we had one request of 4 people that unfortunately did not make it. And it's, as you can see, or as some of you might see within the system, it is not showing that 1 o'clock block. In this case, I'm impersonating Mr. Berger, who's our board president. But all of these spots are open. So within 2 days after the lottery runs, all of the group restrictions are removed. You'll see here as I reload, now the 1 o'clock does show up, but it does not show up in green. So that means that time slot is at capacity, which is what we are for next week. However, the 10 o'clock, the 4 o'clock, and the 7 o'clock for Monday, again, this is after the lottery has run. All of those are open and there are no restrictions. Even though it says lottery, if you were to book a reservation within this time, it will immediately confirm it and send you an email stating such. So you won't get a lottery request email. It'll actually say booked, even though it does say Group 2 lottery. There's no way for us to change those beforehand, although our hope is that as we kind of progress, we can clean up some of these things. So this system has really been devised in about 3 weeks. So your patience is greatly appreciated as we work through some of these kinks. But again, Monday, at this point on Monday, 3 out of the 4 blocks are completely open for you to book in any capacity, as we are within 2 days. As we flip over to Tuesday, we'll go through here again, 7 to 9, lap swim, first come, first serve, senior swim, 9 to 10. That has a capacity, same capacity as the other groups of 175. We'll monitor and see how those kind of get used. May open those up for lap swim depending on usage from a senior swim standpoint and the feedback that we get there. But then this is, as we're looking on the system here, I'm impersonating Mr. Berger. We're on Tuesday. He is in Group 1. green means go. So he has the 10 o'clock option and then also the 4 o'clock option. And so within that, you can see the other people that have also made requests. However, because we're 2+ days out, these are just that, they are requests. So then the other two slots, the 1 o'clock and the 7 o'clock, those are available for booking for the group 2. However, in this case, because Mr. Berger is in group 1, he only has access to one of those. He only has access to those 2 spots, the 10 o'clock and the 4 o'clock. As soon as you make a request, I'm going to run a kind of a sample here with Mr. Berger. The system will require you to fill in whoever is going with you. I know one of the bugs that is on the app system is that when you go to make a reservation, it defaults to 10 people. If you click on that party size of 10 people, you can adjust it down. However, if you try to make a request with any kind of guest or anybody that you enter that's not within the membership, it will give you an error and not allow you to book that. Then separate, as soon as you get people that are included in that request, you can hit make lottery request and you'll get this confirmation within the system, but then also an emailed confirmation to you as well. And so once that is in, your name will appear in blue. You can edit your reservations once you've made them. However, another thing that we have heard from members is just make sure you understand you can only make one request per day. Once we're in the lottery system, you're 2+ days out, you have access to 2 different time blocks. However, you can only make a request within one of those 2 time slots when we're 2+ days out. Once we're within 2 days, once we're within 2 days, I'm going to go in here for those that are watching me. I'm actually just going to go in here and cancel this request because I'm not sure if Mr. Berger is going to use the pool that day, but he can do that on his own if he would so choose. Once I cancel this, again, he's going to have access to be able to go back, and maybe he wanted the 4 o'clock instead of the 10, and so he can go back in and make that change. Once you're within 2 days, all of those restrictions are lifted. If you would like to come to the pool for multiple time slots, you are able to at this point. That's going to be something that we monitor. So as long as we have capacity, you are able to make multiple reservations within the same day and come for longer periods. We will ask you to leave in between those periods. So another question that I've received is why the time periods? The reason behind the time periods is that we did not want to have staggered entry to our pool. So we didn't want a group to show up right at the start of the time slot and say they were longer than 3 hours, but we didn't want people to come at that time, sit down at a table, and then leave and have someone come back to that table without us fully being able to disinfect everything that they might have touched. It's easy to be able to disinfect a table like it is dining. However, when you have a lot more skin contact out around the pool, we wanted to be able to provide that additional layer of safety and security from a disinfectant standpoint. So as it relates to our deck, we are going to ask all of our members, regardless of if you have another reservation for the time after that, to please vacate the deck as we use industrial chemicals to be able to disinfect all of the areas within our pool deck. Another question that I've received is regarding in the pool. Again, you're soaked in a chemically balanced chlorinated pool. That's a pretty safe environment from everything that we've heard from the CDC, along with our government officials. That's a safe spot to be. It's very challenging. We do want people to try to socially distance within that pool. It's been advised to be able to do that. However, it's very challenging for our staff here to understand who lives in the same household, who's in that same spot. And in lieu of having every single person be 6 feet away with, I don't know, something like pool noodles on their head or something like that, what we are asking is members, when you get in the pool or if your kids head to the pool, please keep an eye on them. We will do our best to enforce all of the rules that we normally would. I think this year we will do probably a stricter job than normal, trying to enforce all of the normal stuff that we have in terms of roughhousing or anything like that. However, once you're in the pool, there's a certain risk that you're going to have to assume from our standpoint. please be smart. Please be considerate of your fellow members. This is an area we really need your assistance with. We will do everything we can on the pool deck to be able to socially distance people. However, we really need your assistance in the pool water, as it's going to be difficult for our lifeguards to be able to keep an eye on struggling swimmers or anyone that might need first aid, in addition to trying to keep people socially distanced. So big part there. Again, last thing, once we started looking at trying to enforce the rules within the pool and keep people socially distanced, you kind of go down a rabbit hole of how far along do we go in terms of disinfecting the diving board and pool ladders and things like that. So we want to be smart and do that as we go. So within the pool groups, like I said, we'll disinfect the entire deck as we go between those two pool groups, or I should say between the different pool groups. Again, we will ask everybody to start to vacate the pool around the 30 mark of the last hour of the time block. And then we really are going to encourage our members to head out no later than 40 or 45, so that we have enough time to be able to get the entire pool deck sanitized and cleaned, so that that next group can come into a fully sanitized and disinfected pool for their enjoyment. We will have some signage out next week as we get started. We have some floor decals that we're putting out to be able to keep groups separated. I get a common question is, do I need to show up right at the start of my time? No, you do not. You can come whenever you want. However, the fixed time is the end time. We will ask you to leave upon that time. So if you show up 30 minutes with 30 minutes left in your block, that's great. Have a great time for those 30 minutes. We'll still unfortunately need you to leave at the end of those 30 minutes. If you wanted to stay for another block, so long as there is capacity, up until 1 hour before, you will be able to book a confirmed reservation within our reservation system. Once we get within 1 hour, we are asking members to either call or get in touch with our lifeguards to see whether or not there is still capacity. The pool deck capacity for us is quite large. For those who saw last weekend, the Ozarks had one heck of a party down there, and they could not socially distance themselves. Our pool deck, we can socially distance a significant number of people. We still need to be able to enforce that and enact it. For us, our members love to do interesting things, and so we're trying to be able to give ourselves a little bit of playroom to start with, where we're going to start with a lower number. That's 175 at this time, to kind of see how it goes, make sure that everybody can follow the rules, make sure that we can enforce those rules and make a safe environment. 175 people on our pool deck is very, very spaced out. There's a lot of room there. And so we're very confident that we can create a good system. So that's kind of an overview as we got started here. I know we've got some questions that are popping in, and I think Amber is going to facilitate those. But I did want to give a starting slot as we go. Again, for those that have joined late, the system does have glitches in it. At times, you need to kind of jump to a different day and maybe back to it. It works somewhat better in certain cases on browsers than it does on the app right now, but we are actively working with our software provider to be able to get updates in that case. So with that, I will jump over. Amber, are you on our chat? She might be on her computer. So I will jump in here and start to look at some of the questions. So first one from Pete, can your child swim with the parent in the same lane, assuming you have a reservation for lap swim? Within the lanes in the morning, yes, within the same lane, as long as you stay in that same lane, that's fine. We want to be respectful of the members that are around you and make sure that they're comfortable. The swim lanes do have about 6 feet, I think 8 feet maybe per, so there is some room there. And then the last part is you're in a chlorinated, a chemically balanced pool. So from that standpoint, you're safe so long as you're not touching each other. It's we feel like a very safe environment there. How do you cancel or change your reservation, Sarah? Do you have a question? What's that? I have Amber muted. All right. I'm not, what, Amber, if you can identify, I don't know what caller you are, so you need to put in your PIN number to be able to attach onto your computer. And in that case, I can attach on. But I'll keep running through these questions. How do you cancel or change a reservation? So I'm going to go back here for those on the screen. Once you make your reservation, you can just click into that same reservation. It should highlight in blue, and you can, again, I'm kind of working through this as we go here. I'm going to make a reservation under Mr. Berger, and then within here, it changes to blue. You just click on your own name, and you can pop up and make any kind of changes or even cancel the reservation within that same window. So you can add up to, we've set the limit at 10 people within the party. A good point here. If you make reservations for other members within your reservation and you are not elected a spot in the lottery, you will all be declined your lottery request. So we are asking members to be able to make reservations just for their own party. However, if it is absolutely imperative that you are not going to go to the pool unless you go with those certain people, you are free to add them into your request if you so choose. Just understand, if the pool is at capacity and unfortunately your lottery request does get declined, you will get declined as a party. It's important to note, how many lottery requests do we expect to decline? We don't expect very many to decline. However, on peak periods, namely warm days, but specifically Friday, Saturday, Sundays, most cases Fridays and Saturdays, I think those afternoon time slots are going to near capacity. But the rest of the week, especially after we get out of this first week and everybody kind of tries it out, we really shouldn't have an issue hitting our capacity. We feel comfortable that we have a high enough capacity here that we're going to get most everyone to be able to go to the pool whenever they're desiring to, separate from maybe 1 or 2 times a week. So for those that use the pool 7 days a week, we really feel like you're going to be able to use the pool 7 days a week, but 6 out of those 7, you may have one day where you can't go exactly where you want. We're hoping that people will be reasonable with us, given the alternatives, which there aren't a whole lot of at this point. But we're excited to be able to give pool access and have that available for people. But hopefully, Don, and I don't know if that's maybe Marcia on there for canceling and changing a reservation, that gives you an idea. If you register for a family of 5 and only 4 end up coming, how far in advance can you edit the reservation? So you can edit the reservation at any time. I'm not sure if the rule within the last hour, if you cannot edit that. The big thing is, if you show up with less people, that's not as big a concern so long as you show up. And I'll get into the no-show policy here in a second. The big part is, if you're going to have additional people, please give us a call. We need to know that, just because there may be times where we can't handle it from a capacity standpoint. But if we don't have capacity restrictions, come on up. We'd love to have you. We want to be able to be a resource here for our members. So in terms of going down, that's probably not as big a deal. But if you do go up, we would love for you to be able to give us a call so that we can accommodate that and know ahead of time. Regarding no showing, it's one thing, hey, reserved for 4, had 2 people drop out last minute, so there 2 of us are coming. However, if you don't notify us, we are asking for at least a 1-hour notification from a no-show standpoint. If you don't show up and we did not know about it, there is a policy in place regarding no-shows. The first time you get a warning that basically says, hey, really don't want you to do that. The second time, your access for you and your family will be suspended for a week. And that's pool access, not the other parts of the club, but your pool access will be suspended for a week. So that is a fairly harsh penalty. However, the pool committee, along with the staff here, really feel like we want to make sure that people are respectful of their fellow members and understand that capacity restrictions are something we all have to deal with. We want to be especially respectful of those who do make reservations but then don't show up. We want to make sure that those are limited. Is your spot held for you if you arrive late? So yes, you can come whenever you want. We won't give that away. Anybody who calls last minute, the whole system is assuming that everybody is going to show at some point. So you can get into the last, hey, what if I show up at 10 and I leave at 11? Can somebody else come in my spot? No, it's just total people within that time block, regardless of when they arrive, regardless of when they leave. So from a compliance check standpoint, basically the Omaha Police Department is requiring us to have a log of who is going to be here. So so that spot will be guaranteed so long as you have a booked reservation. What should we do if the pool phone is not answered? That's a great question. Gosh, I wish that never happens, but it does. If the pool phone is not answered, you're happy to call. You're welcome to call the club, or last resort. Very few emails that hit my phone do not get read within 5 minutes. Generally speaking, I try to be as quick as I can with those. Shoot me an email. I'm happy to help in that capacity. Otherwise, I think most every member that we have now has my cell phone number. You're welcome to call me or text me. That is always on my body. So pool phone, try that first. Club phone number would probably be a second good option. If all else fails, I would love to know that they're not answering that so that I can correct that issue. But shoot me a call or a text or an email in that capacity. If there are two families of 5 that want to go together, should they each enter all 10 names so there's 2 chances to get picked? So the system is only going to allow the same person once. So regardless of if it's in their family's reservation or your family's reservation, the system is only going to allow that person to be in there once. So hopefully that answers your question from the standpoint of it's a good idea. However, within the system that we've set up, it would not be available. If it is bad or cold weather, do we need to cancel the reservation? So we would appreciate if you are not going to come. We would appreciate the notice, however, not completely necessary. The no-show policy, I should have clarified this to begin with. The no-show policy will only affect those when we are in group restrictions that are at capacity. So if you no-show because the weather looks like it's going to be bad and we only had 15 people in the pool, we're not going to hit you for a no-show there, or at least might give you a call and say, hey, probably not something we would love for you to do in the future, at least initially here. But over time, it's really all about capacity. If we're at capacity and people no-show, that's really where it's going to be disappointing. So, all on a reservation must be members or guests allowed. At this time, guests are not allowed. Good question, Ted. Thank you. Guests are not going to be allowed initially. We are going to review that. We've had a lot of questions regarding grandchildren, grandparents. We are allowing nannies. In certain cases, a lot of grandparents are nannies, so we're happy to assist in that capacity. Regarding grandchildren at this time, they have to be active members within the membership. We want to get kind of a week out here so that we can see how the membership is going to use the pool this summer. Given all of the complexities of summer camps getting canceled and different events really getting canceled, summer vacations, we're not sure if people are going to still take those, given that maybe travel is going to be an interesting proposition for some. So at least initially, we want to get an idea as to how our members are going to use the facility so that we can then kind of fall back and start to ease up on some of the restrictions. Guests will be the first spot that we start. We would love to be able to get to the point where we can allow guest access, as we know that's a big part of the summer enjoyment for a lot of members. But at least to start with, we wanted to make sure that we took care of all of our active members first, and then we'll review that as we get going. Thank you for that question. The other part is our Friday, I've had maybe this question once or twice, our Friday night pool party still going to continue. The first week, we are not going to do anything special. We're not going to have the grill. We're not going to have the DJ to start with. There's still a lot of questions regarding DJs. I feel pretty comfortable with Joey out there just because we're not congregating to have people dance. At least I don't normally see that. The only real congregating there with the DJ would be people making requests or kids making requests. But I think when we work into week 2, my hope is we can get back to the DJ there to be able to have kind of a Friday night environment. That would start with the 4 o'clock block as we plan going later, but we really want to see how this first week goes. The pool buffets, as you might imagine, buffet service has been suspended for everyone. It's actually a mandate. At some point, we might do the grill, and we'll service it as we would kind of cafeteria style. We still have all the options out there for everybody to look, but you would just get your finished plate. We're looking at those as we work into the second week, but at least initially, we just kind of want to get an idea of what's going on. Regarding food service, we would ask once members arrive, kind of pick your spot, lounge chairs, tables and chairs. Those are all spaced out accordingly. Pick your spot. We would love for you to hang out in that same spot for the duration of the time period. Please, as much as we love playing musical chairs, please stick within that same table and chair combo for your family. Groups of 6, please don't pull furniture together. And then the last part is please order from the table servers if you can. I know that the counters can at times be significantly quicker in how they service. However, one of the control points that we're concerned about is how do we eliminate the congregating of people at those counters? And so we will have some decals on the ground that have social distancing within them to be able to mark people how far we want them out. There's a pager system that we have for counter food so that you'll know when to come back up to the counter to get your food if you so order from there. But the last part is allow us to service you as long as you're okay with it taking an extra 60 seconds. Our hope is that we will be able to get that set up. We've onboarded right around 80 employees here in the last week in preparation for the next week, for next week regarding the pool opening, along with some of the other outlets being able to get them some reinforcements. So we're excited within that. I know some of the service at times has been a little slow here over the last couple of weeks as we've tried to service the veranda and then the pool parties down on the pool deck and then also to-go food out front. So been stretched a little bit, but we're excited to get some more staff back in. We'll get those issues handled quite quickly. So regarding food and beverage, really, if you can, we would love for you to be able to order from the table. That would be our preference. So any other questions that people have, please jump into the chat box, but kind of circle back here again. The system does have some glitches. We're working to get those addressed. Please just give us some time and understand what's the amount of traffic. We had over 7,000 users hit our pool reservation system in the first 2 hours Thursday after that initial email went out. The system never went down. It just gets really slow when it has high usage in it. It's the best way I can describe it is 7,000 people are trying to edit the same document, whether you like Google Docs or however you go about your thoughts there. It's can create some issues, but again, the system opens 7 days out at 7 a.m. So tomorrow morning at 7 a.m., the Sunday reservations will open up. No preference given to those who are first into those requests. It all just does a wait system. So I will do a quick kind of overview here of the lottery just so that everybody can see that is not a rigged system. We have our dashboard here on the backside that shows let's see, I'm going to pull this aside. This is our dashboard on the backside to be able to control things. But as you will see within here, as we go into what is called the lottery manager, and I will, in this case, come down to June 2nd, hit reload, and then for those that are on the screen, those who are unable to be on the screen, maybe on the call, you can watch this. We will post this recording on the member portion of the website. But as this loads here, for those that can see it, you will see here it assigns a weight. And this weight changes every time we hit reload. So this is not necessarily giving you an idea of what it will be tomorrow when we run the reservation. But within this, you can see as it rolls down, the unlucky person at this point are the Costellos. And so they have the lowest weighting in here. If we were at capacity, we would move them over to the unassigned parties, and the system will automatically do that when we go to hit assign all. So it works to a capacity number. These are all open slots. And so as we scroll down here, you'll find the 1 o'clock group. And I believe tomorrow the 1 o'clock group is at capacity, but it's assigning everyone a weight code and then putting those through a hierarchy as we go in this capacity. And just to show you that it is randomly generated and I have no ability to affect anything, if I hit reload here, again, the Costellos at the 10 o'clock group were the lowest ones. We'll let this load again as it's trying to populate anybody who's making reservations right now. The Costellos now have flipped to being first, which is kind of random. And then as we scroll down here, now the Pecs are at the bottom. So gives you an idea of the random weighting and the fact that it truly is random. But any part of that, it is, again, completely random.
Amber is good on audio now, and she has a couple questions.
Perfect. So Amber, are you with us?
Yes, can you hear me, Greg?
I can, yeah.
Okay. We did have a question from one of the guests in-house that they were wondering if you could speak to the check-in procedure when you do get to the pool and what that would look like as far as taking temperatures, how long you expect that to take, and what our plan is to get that many people through, say, at 10 o'clock when everybody shows up on Monday.
Good question. Thank you. So again, we'll have decals that'll be down on the ground trying to separate groups. You can stand with your family, those in your household, but we do ask if it's not in your household, please respect those around you and stand within the sidewalk and be around the corner. We will try to get going as quick as we can, but we also want to make sure that we have safety between those groups. So we don't want to get anybody in there before the deck is completely sanitized. However, once we get started, we're going to do a 2-person system. Our guards are going to handle all of the screening questions and checks, and then a couple people from our F&B side will actually come over and they will manually check you in within our iPad system, get you electronically checked in so that we can get twice as many people rolled through. However, we also want to make sure that we're doing the procedures and following the policy the way that it is intended to be, and that is to protect the membership as a whole. So we're not going to sacrifice safety in lieu of speed. We want to make sure we do everything that we have intended to do to be able to keep everyone safe. And we don't really know how long that's going to take at this time, but my expectation would be I wouldn't be surprised, depending on how many people we have line up, that it might take us 5 or 10 minutes to get through those groups. But again, we'll have those decals out front of as you work from the check-in desk all the way back. We're actually going to take them outside and go down the sidewalk there as you line up. So they'll be spaced every 6 to 8 feet. You'll have people that can kind of jump up and go, and then we'll check them in 2 at a time.
Okay. And then we had a couple more questions come in while you were showing the reservation system again. The question is, the gathering of more than 6 is discouraged. What about children, youth? Will we educate, or this responder is saying that they will educate their children and monitor them, but will parents have guidelines of their responsibilities, and how will these be addressed?
On the pool deck or in the pool? Probably both.
Probably both. I'd speak to the pool deck, and then maybe
Yeah.
The pool is another animal. So
the pool deck will be enforced by our guards and by our staff, both F&B and our guard staff, from the standpoint of making sure that we're not in groups larger than 6, and then also making sure that everybody's keeping distance as they walk. Granted, there is a wide tolerance of opinions on the current pandemic. We understand that. We are trying to make it as little political as possible, and we want to make it safe. That's the whole goal, regardless of your personal beliefs. Please respect those around you, and be respectful of your fellow members. So we will do everything to make sure we keep groups separated within the deck, and then also ensuring that we're making the touch points on our pool deck as few as possible. Once we get within the pool, we are asking our members, please, please, please assist us in making sure that both you and your children stay a reasonable distance. Social distance in a pool is an interesting concept. I've sat on a lot of seminars and calls discussing the topic. You're soaked in chlorine. It's a chemically balanced pool. But the main part is we really need help once we get into that pool, because our lifeguards are looking for struggling swimmers, anybody that needs first aid. We will do our best to, again, enforce the rules that we have in place. Those are posted just inside the pool hallway as you walk in, and then they're also posted up near the deep end off the pump house. So you can take a look at those regarding the various rules that we have in place. We will enforce those in the pool. However, it will be very difficult for us to enforce social distancing in the pool. I just want to be honest there. Let's see, looks like we've got one chat question. Is it possible to change your social groups? If you have questions regarding that, please give me a call. We're trying to be as flexible as we can there, but we also want to make sure that we keep the groups as even as we can as well. So feel free to give me a call, and we can work through that process and see how that might affect what we can work around there. Amber, do you have other questions?
I have not had any other ones come through.
All right. Thank you, Tim, for your nice comments. Any other questions? Please have people jump in. Otherwise, feel free to give me a call. Any way I can be of assistance, email, call, stop by the club, send a pigeon, however you want to go about connecting. We would love to hear from you. We certainly do not want to create confusion. We certainly do not want to create frustration, although I understand the system glitching can be frustrating. It's just as frustrating on my end because I am not a software developer, and so I don't have a great solution, at least other than calling our software provider and telling them that they need to add something to it. But we're working through that. I will tell you personally, as someone who has looked at this for the last 3 weeks, it is significantly better than it was a week ago, which is leaps and bounds better than it was 3 weeks ago. It continually gets better. It's better today than it was on Thursday. And it will, I fully believe, within a week or so, we will have as few glitches as possible, but we are working through several. So into the screen, out of the screen, kind of move within days. That's a good way to try to help that. If we don't have any other questions, I will kind of hang on here for anybody who might have a last minute question. I know we're having some people drop. So we will post this recording to the members side of the website. You can click in there, and then it'll be under the articles link on the main page as you go to the member website. So for those that can view my screen here, as you scroll down under club events, you'll see latest club news. The Chronicle is listed here as our last one. Man, that was a long time ago, March 1st. But it'll be included in there for you to go back and reference, or to send or direct anybody who has questions. Last part, I can't emphasize this enough. Give us a call. Please don't get frustrated. There are things that are frustrating, but we can help with those. And the worst case scenario, we can always make your reservation requests or confirm reservations for you on our end as well. So we're happy to help, but it's much easier when our members can kind of see and understand. So we wanted to be able to have a resource for that. We do not expect to have any kind of restrictions in terms of number of times someone can go to the pool per week, because we believe our capacity is going to allow us to get everybody access every single day. So we don't need to restrict how many times they can go. We're seeing that from a lot of clubs, several in the area. They're restricting the number of times members can go to the pool. They're restricting maybe the number of times they can use over the weekend, instituting maybe a fee structure to people who don't show with the exact reservation. Those aren't things that we intend to do here, because we believe that our members will be responsible and help us out with this. And then the other part is we will go and make sure above and beyond that we can do anything to assist our members. Amber, any last questions?
Just one guest or member wanted to reiterate that they understand that the lottery doesn't take effect unless it's over 175 people. So if they're signing up and only 100 people sign up for that time slot, they're automatically in.
Correct.
2 days before, right? Correct. Okay.
That is correct. The other part is, I can't stress this enough as well. If there are, I had one party of 4 that did not get their reservation for Monday. 4 out of 175 in that group. That is really positive. I know it's really warm next week. Tuesday afternoon looks like it's going to be fairly full, but we're still not at capacity of those either. I just don't foresee us having a lot of times where people don't get in where they want to. We haven't hit a weekend yet, but I think give it some time, especially after the first couple weeks. I think you're going to start to see maybe some of that initial demand roll off a little bit, and we'll be in a better spot. Anything else, Amber?
Nope, that's it on my end.
Perfect. Well, seeing no other questions, I'm going to go ahead and end this call. If you have anything I can help with, any way we can be of assistance, please give us a call at the club or stop by. Talk soon. Thanks so much, everyone.